Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Associate Director Edgardo Sanabria Valentin, and today I'm taking over for Dr. Sanguinetti, hosting this Junior Scholars event. Today we're working on an event in collaboration with the Center for Career and Professional Development at John Jay, and we have with us Christina Simonsen from the Career Center that's going to talk to us about LinkedIn and how to take advantage of it to network, look for jobs, and basically put our brand out there. So Christina, take it away.
Thank you, Edgardo. As you said, I am Christina Simonson. I'm the Associate Director for Employer Relations at John Jay Career Center. So today we'll talk about how to leverage your LinkedIn profile to search for job opportunities, as well as expanding your network. We have a formal presentation, but I think we're going to go about halfway through that before I just switch it to an interactive model where you'll be able to follow along with me, as well as ask questions in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, and maybe give me a little thumbs up if you could see the LinkedIn presentation. Awesome. Okay, so let's begin. So just a fun fact. Oops, oh my goodness. every 2 seconds somebody joins LinkedIn. So you can imagine, with all the seconds during the day, how many people actually are part of this network here. And I do apologize, my computer is pretty old, so sometimes it might take a minute to load the next slide. So today's session, we're really going to go over why you should be leveraging LinkedIn and what, signing up and creating your account, how to build your strong profile, as well as how to use that profile to expand your network. So a few little fun facts here. So and this was maybe a little dated, so I assume by now it's a lot bigger. But as of last year, there was over 600 million members worldwide on LinkedIn. There are over 2 million groups. So if you have an interest in research or forensic technology, there's probably a group for that where you can join, like-minded individuals who are sharing knowledge through those groups. LinkedIn is the most used social media platform amongst Fortune 500 companies. So if you're thinking about, okay, where can I find updated company information apart from their website, they're usually, the HR department is usually posting on their LinkedIn. So you can see what kind of news and fun facts are coming in. There are over 30 million company pages. So as I just mentioned, it's really great once you have your profile to start following companies that you're interested in. So that way you are automatically getting that updates and postings in your newsfeed. So it's custom for you. There are over 20 million positions open through the job board platform every month, so that when you're thinking about where to begin starting your job search, LinkedIn is absolutely a viable candidate. I'd almost rather you go there than LinkedIn, Indeed, because these are directly coming from the companies, not being sourced by, Indeed recruiters. And over 77% of recruiters are on LinkedIn. So if you're thinking about beginning your networking, or you want your profile to be visible so that recruiters can see you, this is absolutely the way to go, because that way you have a capturing profile, recruiter will see that and they can potentially reach out to you. I'm going to skip over the video just because I don't want to chance it with the tech difficulties today. So first, and I actually do have some supplemental resources that I apologize, I will send out. Do I have the ability to send through the chat? You know what, I might just pass that out at the end, and that way we can just go through it. So first, you always want to think about what your personal brand is, right? Talking about what your, oof, goodness, I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening with this computer. Okay, so personal brand, you'll be going and thinking about, what is it? What are your interests? What are you skilled at? What are your strengths? Almost like a SWOT analysis. If you've never heard of a SWOT analysis before, that is a marketing term used to evaluate the shelf life of a product. You are the product in this situation. So what are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? So this will be really helpful. I do have a checklist that you'll be able to go through. Again, I will send all these materials to you at the end. Let's see, we're going to skip ahead, right? And so when it comes to building that profile out, your LinkedIn profile is 14 times more likely to be viewed if you have a photo. Traditionally at the career fair, we would always have a LinkedIn headshot booth where you could come and go and get your professional portrait taken. At this point, because we're virtual, most phones, I want to say, have portrait mode. Get a friend or family member to maybe take a picture of you against like a clear background, but definitely do consider putting yourself out there and having a profile picture represented. So here are some examples of some good, good photos to use. Being mindful they're in professional attire, or it's a clear background, it's not too busy, because things you want to avoid are photos like this. Right? This isn't your Twitter page. This isn't your Facebook. It shouldn't be group photos or, artsy looking photos. It should just be a straight up picture of yourself, right? And represented. So you do want to be mindful of these types of photos. So I'm gonna kind of peruse through this. I'm not sure how many folks in the room have a LinkedIn profile already, or if this is new for everyone. So I'm going to go through each step of building the profile, but then we'll get to the more interactive piece. So you definitely want to make sure you have a headline. That is one of the first things recruiters see when they're looking at profiles is your name, your photo, and that headline. So it could be something that, is it telling people what you're excited about or what you're aspiring to be. It could be a fun anecdote, but remember it's a short little character frame, so you don't want to have it to be too long. You'll have plenty of opportunities to expand on that, but something to, a little clickbait to get them to click into you. Next piece is the summary. So I mentioned you'll have a little more opportunity to expand on, what it is that you're interested in. And so this is an opportunity. I like to consider it almost like a general cover letter that's, exposed to, all of the recruiters on LinkedIn. This is going to live on your profile. It's not going anywhere. It will always be there. So you do want to make sure this is something you're updating. If you're changing your career trajectory, you want to make sure that you're changing this summary to reflect that. So you're able to talk about, what motivates you, what are you skilled at, and what's next for you. Whether you're seeking internships, opportunities, any achievements that you've potentially, taken on, awarded, this is a great opportunity to showcase that. So I do have a worksheet as well that talks about transferable skill sets. These are skills that you learn throughout your academic journey as well as, externally, right? In your work experiences, internship experiences, volunteer work, life. These are things that you can take on that will transfer with you from college to career. So things like responsibility, organization, critical thinking. These are things that you're being taught right now through academic work and life experience that you can take with you. And so it's important to understand what those are going into it. And so the worksheet that I actually have lists all the transferable skills. And then there are a few other columns where you're able to click, yes, I self-identify that I do have critical thinking skills. And then you're able to provide an example of a time you were thinking critically, or that you can leverage now when you're building your action statements in either a resume, LinkedIn profile, cover letter. So it really is a great worksheet that will help you identify, okay, what should I be highlighting in my profile that would stand out to employers, and how can I back it up with an example? So this worksheet will help paint that picture for you really easily. So I will definitely send that over at the end, but it is something to be mindful of. So I mentioned those experience statements. Just like you would on a resume, you get to showcase your experience here. The beauty of LinkedIn is that it is a web page. You are not restricted to that 1-page minimum, right? Rule of thumb is that 10 years of experience or less. You want to keep it on 1 page. With LinkedIn, you're able to, have as much information as you need because there's just a show more feature. So you don't feel like you have to trim it down if you really do want to showcase a lot of your work. So under the experience section, you're able to post the jobs that you've had. So if you have a resume that's been looked at by a counselor, you feel confident in it, you can just go ahead and import that into LinkedIn or copy and paste it however you want. And you're able to provide action statements, just like your bullet points. I always do recommend including the bullet points. Sometimes you'll see profiles that don't have any description. It just lists where they're working and what they're doing. If you're looking to be recruited by someone, I want them to know what I'm capable of doing and what I have done before they even ask me for a resume. So that's why I like to use the bullet point method to really showcase what I've done in my job. So that's why I think copy and pasting the resume is completely fine as long as you are confident in your resume. I do recommend making an appointment with a counselor if you haven't maybe dusted it off in a while. But definitely include the bullet points to showcase to potential employers what you're capable of. And you also have the ability to provide supporting materials. So you can upload PDFs, presentations, videos, things like that if you want to showcase some of that work. Under experience also comes organizations. So if you are a member of a club, a leadership institute, extracurriculars, this is a great place to house some of that information. So you could talk about what you've done within those organizations. And just like any other resume, you would put education, right? So you would make sure you would include, John Jay, maybe you went to a previous institution you'd like to list as well. And any volunteer experience or causes. So if you've done any volunteer work, this is absolutely a place you can house that. Internship, I would consider putting under that main experience piece because you'll be able to indicate that you were an intern. So it's completely fine if it doesn't have to be a full-time job or a part-time job. It could be internship experience as well. Okay. And then skills and expertise. This is where you're able to self-identify skills that you possess, as well as your connections will then be able to endorse you for those particular skills. So if I think about, I think my top skill on LinkedIn is like resume writing or career coaching. And it kind of makes sense because it's the role I'm in. So that is my number one endorsed skill on LinkedIn. So you're able to do that for yourself and your connections. If you have any honors or awards, please, please, please push them in there. That's really great to let employers know what you've achieved and your accomplishments, as well as some of your coursework. If you've done substantial projects that you think, this would be really valuable for an employer to know that I have a foundation in, or I've done extensive research on cell something, I don't know, I'm not a science background, but this is a great place for you to showcase some of that academic work in your academic projects, especially if it was group work and you worked in a team. That's showcasing, being a team player and things like that. So you do want to make sure that you're really putting your best foot forward and showcasing everything that you possibly can to make yourself a more competitive candidate. Moving forward, again, projects, you're able to back it up with if you want to include videos or your presentation slides. You can also connect it with your team members. So if you worked on a group project and you're connected to them, you're able to link them on there as well to showcase these were my partners and co-facilitators in this particular project, which is a really cool feature. Finally, it's recommendations. Sometimes, or I know we're used to asking our professors or supervisors for recommendations for every opportunity. With LinkedIn, you just have to ask once because it's going to live on your profile. I do recommend trying to keep them updated. Sometimes it's easy to keep them static on there and then not update them. So you're going back and your last recommendation was from 2015, speaking personally. So you do want to make sure that you're putting yourself out there and you're asking for recommendations. Anyone who can give, just same principles apply when you're asking for an in-person letter. Who will give you the best evaluation of your work styles, and any feedback, about that experience. So definitely consider including that on your LinkedIn. It may not be applicable now, but I think upon graduation and the further you go in your career, the easier it will be to secure recommendations like this through LinkedIn. Here's some examples of some good resumes. These are former John Jay students. And I'm actually going to go ahead and just close the presentation now, and I'm just going to go into an interactive model because I think this will be more helpful. And so now we get to, you built the profile. Great. Now we're going to get to the piece where we're talking about informational interviewing. So it's one thing to have a profile. What do you do with that profile, right? The purpose of LinkedIn is to expand your network, right? And house these connections. There's a really great tool that I want to show you, and it's called the alumni tool. And this is great for a few reasons. This is a place where you're able to identify John Jay alum. You're able to identify where our John Jay alums are working. You're able to sort that by major. You're able to sort that by geographic location, and you're able to sort that by what they're doing. So it's a great way to transition into informational interviewing. So if anyone is familiar with that term, informational interviewing is exactly what it sounds like. It's identifying somebody who has a job or career path you're interested in and reaching out to them for informational purposes. So you're leading the interview in this scenario. And so a great place to start will be here, because you might say, okay, cool, I could do that, but where do I find the people who are pursuing the job I'm interested in or are working, at the company I'm interested in? Well, I'm about to show you. So I'm going to go over to my LinkedIn profile. I'm just going to click. Okay, so you have a little glimpse of what my profile looks like. I'd have my summary, have my work experience. You could see I bullet pointed it out, right? And you see it could show more, so it's not limited to that little page. I have my education, right? My skills that I've been endorsed for, recommendations, organizations, and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click in through John Jay College. Again, bear with me, my computer's a little slow. So I'm at the John Jay homepage now via LinkedIn. There's a button here called Alumni, and I love this tool so much, and I think you will too. So I'm going to go ahead, we could all click into Alumni, and it's going to populate now almost 55,000 students and alumni that have indicated they went to John Jay College. That's a huge number. I don't have time to go through 50,000 profiles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some filters to help me sort some of these opportunities here. So maybe, for example, I want to do an informational interview, but I want somebody who's been in the field for a little bit, maybe not a recent grad. So you can customize this graduation date. So I only want to see profiles where people have graduated, let's say by 2013. So now that I've done that, it's going to populate. It brought us down about 20,000 people. So now we're looking at 31,000 alumni of John Jay College. And now I'm going to trim it by New York City, because that's where we are. And you can see here where they're working. So this is really just a solid list of those who've graduated by 2013 who work in New York City. And now you have a bird's eye view of the most popular organizations that our alumni are going to. But you know what? This is still very broad, and I want to streamline it a little further. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tab over and hit next. And now I can break it down by what they do and what they studied. So I'm going to scroll through and I'm going to look for my major. And it's okay if you don't find it, because some majors are new, some don't have enough bodies in them yet to really be substantial like criminal justice would be. So you can always use this search bar here. But I'm going to scroll down and I'm just going to pick, say, forensic science and technology. And you see it's going to take that 20,000 number and it's brought us down to about 600, which is a lot more manageable than what we were looking at previously. So again, you're looking at this bird's eye view of organizations that have hired John Jay students. If we want to try to break it down even further, we could break it down by what they do. Perhaps I'll click research. That might be applicable here. And now we're looking at 96 alumni. So 96 alumni that went to John Jay, studied forensic science, live in New York City, and are working in a research capacity, here are all the companies that have hired these people. So now when you're starting to think about, okay, what are some good job leads to start looking into company information? Well, now you have a list right here. You can go to these company websites and see, okay, what do they have available? Are they hiring? Are they hiring for internships? Are they hiring for full-time jobs? And learn a little bit more about these career opportunities. But then furthermore, when we scroll down, well, now we have the people, right? And so when you're looking through, right, keeping in mind who would you want to learn from, I'm going to scroll down until I find somebody who has a job that calls out to me. So I'm just going to click, let's say, criminalist at NYPD. And I'm going to look at Laura's profile, right? She doesn't really have what she has here, but I'm going through it and I could see, okay, you know, this might be something someone I can learn from. You know, she has a lot of great experience. She did her master's in forensic science, so on and so forth. So the next step would be, okay, how do I contact this person? I would have first identified, did she list any information? If not, that's completely okay. If you do not have the premium version of LinkedIn, which I'm assuming most people don't, you do not need it. But you won't be able to directly message. So what you'd have to do is connect, but you would never send that generic, Christina wants to add you to her LinkedIn network. When you hit connect, there will be an opportunity to add a note. And I always recommend doing that because you don't want to just cold outreach to somebody. I don't even approve people who just request me without, you know, indicating what, you know, what it is they want from me or how we're connected. What is your connection to Laura here? You were both John Jay students, right? Also more fine-tuned the major, right? And if you were studying her major, perhaps she was your professor. I don't know. It looks like she was an adjunct. You know, and so what you can do is you connect and you could write a simple networking paragraph. And it could be something as simple as, hi, Laura, my name, you know, I found you using the LinkedIn alumni tool. We both attended John Jay College and I'm a current forensic science major looking to pursue a career within criminalistics at the NYPD. I'm very interested in your profile and was hoping you'd connect with me to have an informational interview to discuss any insight or perspective you may have to share with an aspiring criminalist. I can be available at your convenience, blah, 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 blah. That's all you really need to say. And more than likely you'll hear yes, because people love to talk about themselves. If you ask me how I got to where I am today, I could use the rest of this meeting time just to talk about that. But this is a really great way to meet people in industry, right? You are 80% more likely to get an interview if you've gone through an internal referral, right? So when I apply to jobs, I only apply to jobs that I know someone at. Because if you're just banking on, you know, sending your resume off without, you know, into the digisphere and hoping it gets through, well, it very well may, but you will have a higher probability of success when you have someone on the inside. So LinkedIn is a really great place to identify these connections and maintain these connections. So once you've added her, you know, once you're connected and you have your informational interview, this is an opportunity for you to ask all the questions you may have, right? What is the day in the life like? You know, what are some challenges you face in this field? You know, based on my experiences and what we've talked about, you know, do you see any barriers or things that I should be doing to make myself a more competitive candidate? It's an opportunity to ask all these questions. Because you won't really get to know about it. It's not like you could just keep trying on different jobs. You can, but it's kind of a waste of time and resources. So what you can be doing is doing that background research in advance, right? Starting to go out there and, you know, meet people in industry so you can learn a little bit more about that career path. So when you go on an interview, you are more prepared with the background information. A question can be, you know, what are the top things you're looking for in a candidate? Or, you know, what are some skills that would be really relevant for me to be successful in this role? How can I best prepare for an interview for a blah, blah, blah position? And so it's a really great way to leverage LinkedIn. I love the alumni tool. It has so many uses. So I do encourage you, please, please, please get yourself on there. Use the alumni tool. I'm happy to always meet with you one-on-one in a counseling appointment. But say you're done with that, you already did your informational interviews, and this is something you could start now too. You don't have to wait till you're about to graduate. You don't have to wait, until afterwards. You can be doing this now, right? Build your network now so you're better prepared for success upon graduation. But say you're past all that, you're ready to like get out there, your resume is approved. Now you want to start the job search. One, I would identify, who do I know already and where are they working? But then two, they have a really amazing job board. Like I said, this is updated constantly. I think there was about 20 million positions a month. There's a lot on here. And so you're able to customize this. Use one job board, you've used them all basically. So there's not much to it apart from entering what you're looking for, the location of what you're looking for. Once you start to search several companies, obviously my, what's the word that I'm looking for? My code or algorithm is all wonky because I do a lot of these examples where I'm speaking with different students. So it's very confused on what I want to do with my life apparently. But once you start to use several keywords and things like that, it's automatically going to start curating positions they think you might be successful in. So it's a really fun way to do that. You can also set job alerts. You could source things by salary and a few other tools that you can have here. So if you need support building your resume or doing interview prep, I believe this is a newer feature, you can go ahead and do that. Let's see. I'm just going to click maybe say forensic. Let's just try forensic scientist. Right, so it'll showcase everything right now, right? Because I just typed in a keyword. If I wanted to now, well, I'm only looking for internships. I can do that, right? And it's going to tell me, but you know what? This is all over. So maybe I want to do it for New York. Of course, here we go. Bad example. Let's look at jobs. Maybe they have no internships. So let's look at jobs. Right, and it's going to pull a lot of different opportunities for you. And it's something, again, you can change. So if you want to do, maybe research, you can plug that in there. And then you could do it based on your experience. You could sort it by different companies. So maybe let's click that one. It's going to pull up all of the opportunities that are within that organization. And look, it'll tell you, one alum already works there. So I can click into that alum. Whoops, I don't know what happened. Maybe I'm not connected to them and that's why. Yeah. Probably because I'm probably a 3rd degree connection. I can't click into it. But we do know that we have an alum there. So they do hire John Jay students. So it's something worth to go into. You could see when it's posted, experience level, and then you could also filter it, by, experience level, what you're looking for. Is it remote? Do they have an apply now button? And then you would apply to this job just like you would any other job. I think that's all I have on the job platform. So I'm happy to open it up to questions. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take those now. Actually, wait a minute. I'm sorry. One more thing I want to show you. Okay. There is something called your unique URL. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this before. If you go to your profile, it's probably going to say something you see up in here in the web address. It says my name, but because I claimed it. If I didn't, it might say like user 597, blah, 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 blah. So if I wanted to put this link on my resume and like hyperlink it so it's clickable, I want it to be clean and like really reflect my name. I don't want to have this huge sequence of numbers coming after it. Participate in groups because that will be really helpful to source new information and really contribute to the conversation, as well as building connections. Use the alumni tool, whether it be for just sourcing leads on companies that have hired John Jay students, or if it's to identify people in the industry that you want to connect with. Have a full, robust profile, right? A really well-rounded profile, showcase your academic work, showcase your volunteer work and achievements, and keep that actively updated, right? You don't want to just make this and then forget it. And then 5 years later, you come back and you're like, wow, I still never updated this. I have a whole career since then. So it is something you want to treat just like your resume, even more so though, because this will always be live. Whereas your resume, you're only passing out when you're searching. Your LinkedIn will always be active and visible unless you set your security preferences, which is something I could also go over. With LinkedIn, you have the option to let people know when you're seeking opportunities. So you can 100% set that. But if you want to be private, you can absolutely be make yourself anonymous, but be mindful that if you do that, you won't be able to see who looks at your profile either. So just keeping that in mind. They do have a lot of security preferences and privacy preferences that you can go through. So now with that said, I will stop my share and I am happy to take any questions.
Hi, this is Pat Sampuri. I work with the PRISM group.
Hi.
Hi, and so I've been out in the business world for a number of years, but I have this question, and this is for, I think, for everyone. I get requests from alumni that I don't know, that's like, oh, you went to Syracuse for new school, or even recently I got a request from someone at John Jay that I don't know. My personal belief is that I want to link to people that I know. So if someone comes to me and says, I want to talk to Lisa Harris, I can say, yes, I know Lisa. I can feel comfortable going to Lisa and saying this person, like I know the people. And so I have I have a little thing written up to some people I don't know saying, I hope you understand, but since we haven't worked together, I keep my, I link only to people that I work with or I know personally. I'm just wondering what, and so if you look at how many people I've linked to, it's small compared to people with thousands. What are your thoughts on this, and particularly for young people who are starting out in their career versus someone like me who's been in the business world for a couple of years?
Yeah, no, that's great. It really does come down to personal preference. Is that if that's something that you only want to do, it's fine. I think for students who are looking to go out in the field, it is important to connect with folks in industry, and they don't know anybody yet, so they may not have ever worked on it. So the more senior, experienced person may want to consider, if somebody's reaching out to you because they want your perspective and insight. Right. And if you see that connection, that it is an alum or it is somebody who at least by some degree of separation you are somehow connected to, I would consider being, expanding a little bit more to, you might have an opportunity to make an impact or educate that person. Because otherwise they're never going to get their foot in the door if people are just being really closed to a small knit. But again, it comes down to personal preference. I like to be of the philosophy where if I see someone who expresses interest in my career path or what I'm doing, I'm always happy to talk to them a little bit about it, because I do want to educate the future generation of career specialists or so on and so forth. And especially if they're an alum, I do want my alma mater, the students of my alma mater to be successful. I want students of John Jay to be successful. So just keeping that in mind that, students may not know anyone yet. And so that's what they're actively trying to do now, is build those connections.
Well, I think you brought up something earlier that I thought was very helpful when you were talking about the informational interviewing and the connection. I'm constantly getting that, I want to link to you. Well, why do you want to link to me? Do you want to make me number 5,000? So to your point, I think, and I've been linked to with, kids in the PRISM program. But I know if somebody came to me from Syracuse that, let's say, and said, I saw your background and blah, 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 I'd like to link to you or talk to you, then I'm definitely, to your point, more likely to link to that person.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why it's so important to add that note, because if you're just connecting me so I could be another number in your network, that's not really adding value to either of us. right? It's how you leverage that connection. And that's why I think it's very important that no matter what, whether you're ready for that informational interview or not, even just including that note that's saying, you know what, I'm fascinated by your career path and I would love to just, follow along and see what your, what updates you have, or, things like that, or what information you have to share, with future generation of whatever. But yeah, hopefully that answers.
And if I could make one other comment, as helpful, like for those who are working, every once in a while, I'll come across someone, I worked with 30 years ago, and again, it's just like I write a personal message because, just to remind them, but I think it's on one level, I find it insulting to just go, oh, I want to link with you. We had a working relationship for, 5 years maybe. But I think, if someone's working, I would recommend this to the students. It's always nice to send something to say, hey, haven't seen you. Looks like you're doing great. Would love to link with you, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely. Personalizing it's the personal touch that makes people more receptive to accepting a stranger's invitation.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question.
You can send questions through the chat function, and or you can turn on your volume. I'm sorry, your microphone to ask questions to Ms. Simonson. But while the questions come in, what type of other services does the Career Center offer that our students should be taking advantage of?
Absolutely. Great transition. And so we have a job board database called John Jay Careers Online. So it is a one-stop shop where students and employers are able to connect. So employers are coming to me with opportunities saying, Christina, I'm looking to fill this internship position or a job position, and we want to hire John Jay. So should definitely be a resource platform that you take advantage of. So when you're thinking about, okay, where to start looking for jobs, look on John Jay Careers Online, look on LinkedIn, look on the individual company websites. Our postings are updated daily. And so if you said, you know what, I couldn't find anything, there was nothing for me here, next week might be different. The week after might be different because it's consistently being updated. Other offerings are you can meet one-on-one with the career counselor. You can book your appointment through John Jay Careers Online. We have career fairs. So we do have one coming up on March 25th. We have almost 60 organizations signed up so far. It will be virtual. So you can actually log in and see what employers are attending and if they have something that might be a fit for you. We have workshops all the time. So if you're like, you know what, I could really use an interview prep workshop. I have an interview coming up. I really just, I want to practice. I want to get some best practices. Attend our workshops. We have dozens and dozens of workshops every month. So do take advantage of that, as well as this is where we share our employer info session. So if there's going to be an employer on campus, I use that term loosely, they will be facilitating information sessions through John Jay Careers Online. What else? There's also, if we have, I don't know how much time, I don't know if there's more to your presentation after this, but I also have a website vault that the college pays for, which I think if I can, I would like to demo that really quickly. So let me just share my screen again. And folks may not have known of Vault, but this is something the college pays for. So take advantage of this because technically your tuition's going towards it. So I'm just going to go here, jjy.cuny.edu. Again, bear with me. This computer is very slow. So what I'm doing is I'm navigating to the Career Center website. And this is where you're able to log into John Jay Careers Online. Everyone has an account. If you've never logged in before, select Forgot Password and use your John Jay email. That way it'll reset your password and you can enter the database. If you needed to ask a quick question, we have a virtual front desk every day from 11 to 2. Here are some of the workshops and things that we have going on, right? Teaching another LinkedIn workshop on April 7th. And if you scroll down further, you're going to see something that says Vault. So what I like to consider Vault like is almost like a Rate My Professor or a Glassdoor, except instead of reviewing ratings of professors, you're looking at rankings of companies, right? And so they're from the intern perspective, the full-timers perspective. You're able to source and identify different companies and where they fall on the scale of things. And what I'll do is I'll show you real quick. When you click in through our page, I don't want you to just type in vault.com yet, because if you don't have an account, you want to make sure you're clicking in through our page so that it says access provided by John Jay College of Criminal Justice. From here, you will hit login and then sign up. I already have an account, so I can just log in, but you're going to hit sign up. And when you sign up, I want you to use your John Jay credentials. By using that John Jay email domain, you're automatically telling the system, I get the premium version, not the free version where you have to pay for things. You get the premium version that everything's already included, so you don't have to buy anything a la carte. And then when you sign up, again, after you put in your John Jay email, you'll be able to set some criteria to build your profile. So like what industries you're interested in, what are you looking for from there. So I'm just going to log in. So if I wanted to research technology companies or, pharmaceutical companies, I can do that from here. If I want to find rankings on the top 50 law firms for gender diversity, I can find that here, right? It's a very robust web page where, they have a lot of different information. What they are famous for are these guidebooks. This is what people, so when you have the free version, these are the things that people have to pay for a la carte. But because you will already have the premium subscription, you do not need to worry about paying for any of these. You can download them at your leisure. You can download them to your computer, your phone, your Kindle, whatever you use to read on, you can go ahead and do that. And so they have industry guides, right? So you could break it down right here. They have advice guides, right? And education guides. So if you're considering going into graduate school, this might be a good place to look too. You can also always use this little magnifying glass to help streamline what you're looking for. But for an example, I'll run in and I'll just click pharma and healthcare. And so this is where all of the different guides, so it's going to help you learn about different areas. So I'm just going to click into, let's say, pharmaceutical and biotechnology. And what it's going to do is it's going to give me an overview. It's going to give me an overview of everything I want to know about particular positions, right? Tips for entry, wages, education and background I should have, skills I should be equipped with for going into these, areas. Right, here you go, I'm not going to download it, but there's a lot of information that you can pull through that. So do this for every industry you're interested in or every career path. Let's see, there's also, if you can't see something straight out, you can always, again, use that little magnifying glass. And for example, I know, I'm just going to click into law because I know there is one called, I could tell I've just done this a lot, so I know where some of the books live. Criminal justice jobs. So like I mentioned, it'll talk about different professions, and it's going to give you like tips for entry, advancement, so on and so forth. And it's going to give you, right, all of these positions, right? Forensic experts, crime analysts, polygraph examiners, so on and so forth. So if one of these are of interest to you, you could download this book and read into it. The final piece I'll show you is this career advice tab. I mentioned, meet with a counselor. I apologize. Okay. And if you're like, you know what, I could really use some support with my resume. I want to get it prepared for when I meet with a counselor, but I want to get it started. They have a whole database of samples that you can sort by industry and experience level, as well as these really awesome videos. Vault has put out a lot of great career advice videos, and they are about 3 minutes. So they're very digestible. You're not sitting there for 45 minutes listening to someone talk at you. They are very straightforward and easy to digest, and they do this for every section. And then one more thing is that they have these career Q&A videos. So I think it's really cool we do these on campus as well. We have something called career chats, but because this is Vault's like full-time shtick, you know, they have a really robust database of professionals that they've interviewed. So you can also break these down by field, right? So whether you're going to healthcare, maybe STEM, I'm going to click into STEM. Right, and they have featured videos, so you could go into this. Sorry, it's taking a second. Right. And you can learn, maybe you're interested in being a biomedical engineer or learning what the day in the life of a chemist is. You know, energy consultant, ecologist, forensic expert, right? And so you get to hear a little insight and perspective from these professionals that may help validate your interest in this career path, or you're like, ooh, that's interesting, I need to learn more about that. So this is definitely a website to take advantage of, and you can access that through the career services page, which I will send in the chat. Here we go. Okay, so we can go back to questions now if anyone has any that's come up.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I know we talk about LinkedIn and all this workshop has been super helpful. I just wanted to know how extremely important is the info session? And the reason why I'm asking this is because I am at a stage where I had a career set in mind, but now I'm more leaning towards exploring other options, or like branching out based on recent conversations and personal things too. So I just wanted to know how really important is to have the information session on your LinkedIn, especially for someone who might be on like exploring.
I think it's extremely important. I think it could be of such value, especially to someone who's unsure. And I could just refer to myself. You know, when I was in an undergrad, I was a senior, I was studying advertising, and I thought I was going to be a creative director at an ad agency. So during my senior year, I was doing a lot of informational interviews with folks who had that role, where I was told, hey, really, to be competitive in this, you need to go and build your portfolio. So what did I do? I went and built my portfolio, and then I was like, you know what? I'm not really into this. I'm into career services because I was a work study student in college, and I really enjoyed working in the career center. So that's when but I didn't know where in the higher ed or within the career center I wanted to work. And so by having these conversations, it really helps me identify that I love working with students. I love the counseling component. I love also helping them create an action plan for success and identifying careers. So I knew the employer side was going to come in at some point. And then fast forward, you know, at one point I was interested in recruiting, but I was like, do I want to be an in-house recruiter or do I want to be at a staffing firm? And it wasn't until I had those conversations with these different folks who have those types of jobs that I learned I will never be a staffing firm recruiter. It's just not, I'm not cut out for that, right? It's really high pressure, fast turnover, you know, a lot of pushing, and it's commission. And I was like, that's not for me. So by doing I only would have known that. It's not like I'm going to get the job, try it out, and then quit. By doing the homework in advance and exploring these different career paths, I was able to learn pretty early on, like what I enjoyed, what work activities I actually did enjoy, and what areas I kind of wanted to pivot away from because they weren't really aligned with what, you know, my values and what my interests were. So I think to answer your question, somebody who's in this exploratory stage, it's really important to start having these conversations with, whether it be through, you know, certain job types, XYZ here, and then you do ABC over here. Have those conversations, put yourself out there and absorb as much information as you possibly can. So that way you can make a well-informed decision about what your next move is. It can only help you, it won't hinder you.
I'm so glad that Brenda mentioned that info section on LinkedIn, because that also gets taken into account by LinkedIn when people are searching, right? Whatever you put in that section.
I'm sorry, which section?
The About tab.
Oh, the About, yes. That is really great because employers will be able to see that straight out and see what you're about, right? And that's why I say it's really worth taking the time to market yourself in that little section. You don't have to write this huge thing, but you don't want to leave it blank, and you don't want to have like one line. It's really an opportunity to talk about, why are you pursuing this field? What achievements you've been, successful with. Yeah.
I sent a document on the chat that takes you through an exercise to come up with a 1 or 2 sentence description of who you are professionally, who do you want to be professionally. So if anybody wants it, you can email me or you can download it from the chat.
And I'm actually going to try to pop in those 2 documents that I had in the chat as well.
I have a question. I have my LinkedIn set up and all, and I have a few connections on there. But after we're connected and we've had some like initial conversation, nothing happens past that. So my question is like, how often would you say we should be like reconnecting, like actually sending messages to our connections?
Well, you have to be mindful, like what would be the purpose of the conversation? So is it because you found a job opportunity? Like you don't need to be connecting, every week or anything. I think occasionally drop them a line, maybe every few months. It really just depends on, what value will this connection bring to you, right? Is it somebody who's a direct pipeline into a particular position at a company? It really is a case-by-case basis, because you don't want to inundate them with messages when you have nothing really to say. But at the same time, you don't want to go like a year without talking to them. So it is something that maybe after having the informational interview, you're able then to drop them a line, say, hey, I took your advice. I was able to do this, just want to let you know, I just want to thank you for what you said. And I've now been able to get a volunteer position at blah, blah, blah. Right. So being able to share your successes with them. Was it based off of something they said or an action item that they gave you that you could circle back with? Is there a job that you're interested in applying to and that's why you're reaching out, or an internship opportunity that, you would like to use them as a reference for? So it really is like a case-by-case basis, but you don't have to, don't feel like you have to be reaching out like weekly or anything like that, because that would be a little too much. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, I'm looking. So I did send the transferable skill set, which is that second document I talked about, and I am just looking for the personal branding checklist that will complement what Edgardo sent. But please feel free, if you have other questions, I'm here to answer them for you.
Hi, it's Pat again. You hit on the young lady who just spoke hit on something that reminded me of something. So a lot of my business colleagues, that I worked with 30 years ago, 20 years ago, they're promoting themselves. So let's say they work for a pharmaceutical, the pharmaceutical does something and they write, I'm getting all of these like promotion about them where they're promoting their brand or what their company is doing. And quite frankly, I don't give a hoot. You know what I mean? But I understand that this is part of brand building. So what advice do you have for the students in terms of, to me, it's a delicate balance of, we have some wonderful researchers. So let's say they've done something or they've been published. That's a big thing for our students to be published. But there's a fine line to me about, promoting what you're doing. And then I just feel like everybody's promoting everything and I'm sick of it. You don't even look at half of them.
Mm-hmm. I think that's something that, again, it would be like a case-by-case basis, depending on like, how are you connected to this person? Will you see them again? You don't want to just ignore them. So being able to say, thank you so much. I'm maybe not clear about what they're promoting exactly. So my answer to this question may not be exactly on point, but sorry, I'm just sending this checklist now. you can definitely, tell them, thank you. Just the auto message that pops up like, congratulations, or, thank you, or, keeping it generic like that. For me, when I do that, like, or if somebody did that, I would kind of get the sense, again, not everybody's the same, but like that they're not going to pry and ask more questions by sending that congratulations, like, great job. I'll keep that in mind. Or if it's something they're asking for, like a deliverable, like to do back something, if I don't have the bandwidth to do it, I'm just pretty honest about it. It's something also in your summary, if you don't want to receive certain types of communications, I feel comfortable putting in there, like, please no outreach with promo for XYZ, because that's not why you're there and that's not how you want to leverage the platform. And so it's completely okay to put that, like, please no soliciting of da 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 da.
Now, I know you can do like a blanket email, blanket to all of your connections, but let's say a student has been doing informational interviews, right, with 10 people and talking about the research, and they write a paper and they want those 10 people to know that. They'd be better off, right, in each instance to do a personal note. Hey, this just got published, thought you'd like, I'm really proud of it, or versus just sending it like a generic thing out. Correct?
Absolutely. Like if you wanted to share that and have a more custom one-on-one question, but you can also post that to your profile, like as an update. So almost like Facebook, you can post a status update. You can absolutely do that on LinkedIn, where all of your connections will be able to see that and comment. You can even tag people. So if you want to say, thank you for the support of, and then you start tagging all the people you had these informational interviews with, they're going to see that because it's going to link to them. And they'll be able to see that, comment on that, engage on that. But at the same time, all of your connections will be able to see that and be able to comment, like, share.
How do you tag?
Just the @ symbol, shift @ and then you start typing their name.
I guess I'm a little confused. So if I'm in my, can you show us like on your page, your LinkedIn page?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I'm just going to go to my home page.
Right.
So here.
Right. You can start your post. Okay.
Yeah. So if you have a publication, if you write an article.
Right.
Sorry, this computer's so slow. Right? You can include all that stuff. You could add photographs and supporting materials. You can say, thank you for having me today. That should be. I don't know why it's not pulling up. Are we not connected, Edgardo? No, it's not doing it.
Here we are.
This is weird. Did I turn something off? Anyone can comment. Yeah. Da, da, da. I apologize. This is very bizarre because this has never happened. Let's see it, John.
But basically, if it was working, if you put @ and named someone in your network, it would tag them, is what you're saying.
Yes. Because here, let me just go to somebody else's that I've seen this at, right? See if anyone in my profile has had. See if I've been tagged in anything recently.
How about I show it on mine since I just tested it and it's working?
It's working. Yeah, I'm sorry. This
Oh.
I'm blaming it on the technology today. Go
If you put,
ahead.
Oh, okay.
then you would be
Yeah,
tagged.
that's what's supposed to happen.
Okay. Thank you.
And so you'll get an alert just like you would on any other social media platform that so-and-so has tagged you in a post. And that way you're able to just review it. It's coming into your feed as well. So that's going to be prominent there, and people will be able to comment on it and see that.
Okay. Thank you.
And when you tag someone, their connections can see it as well. So that's adding another layer of like, if this is somebody in your field of interest, now whatever you tag them in is going to expose, be open to other people who they're connected to. So it's worth tagging if you have something to say.
Okay.
Do you think it's good practice to actually be posting things? Because usually what I see on my feed is a lot of posts from organizations or schools that I follow and stuff. So should I actually be posting things?
Yeah, I mean, if you have something to say, you don't want to be like, the weather's nice today. It's something, if you have something relevant and professional to say, or if maybe you read a great article, or, just, you can reshare just like you retweet something, or, share on Facebook, you can share on LinkedIn. So if you saw something that Edgardo posted, you can share that to your network as well. And you have an opportunity to add your own commentary to it. So, just read this really great article about blah, 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 blah. And you could post that. So your commentary as well as whatever you shared will be attached to that. And that's being shared with your network. So I absolutely encourage you, when you have something to say it. If you have something to share it. But making sure it's relevant, professionally relevant in that sense. Sometimes, for the most part, LinkedIn is a pretty safe and professional platform. Only every now and then will you see someone fall down that rabbit hole of, the politics and then this and that. But for the most part, it's pretty straightforward, professional industry knowledge, and being shared, in a professional community. But absolutely, share.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any final thoughts, questions, concerns? Well, if you want to hear me do this all over again, on April 7th, I'm having another session for all students. So that would be an opportunity if you just need a refresher, or if you say, if you want to have me go over your profile with you, you can always book an appointment with the career counselor through John Jay Careers Online. And again, I will send that link here. So if you, like I said, if you've never logged into John Jay Careers Online before, you just have to hit forgot password and use your John Jay email. So you can reset your password and you'll be able to log in and book a counseling appointment. And I'm happy to do a LinkedIn review with you, resume review, job search strategies, interview prep, grad school planning, basically anything. We're happy to chat.
Well, thank you very much, Christina. If nobody has any more questions, these will be posted on our LinkedIn channel. If I knew how to do this, I would be, and if you click here, you can subscribe, but I have no idea how that works. So it's just going to be there. Thank you very much, everyone. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks for the next workshop. We're going to have also Lauren Solano from Propel Careers talk about informational interviews in a few weeks. And I believe, I don't remember what is the next event in particular, but as always, you can expect invitations in your email, several of them, very fast. Have a good one, everyone.